Hey, what up, everybody? Today is Talk is Jericho Day on the WWE Network. The interview is with Stephanie McMahon. It was held moments after SmackDown ended on the Sci-Fi Network. People were told to switch on over to the WWE Network in order to see the live interview. This is one of my favorite things that WWE does on the network, and tonight's show was filmed live. Even though SmackDown was taped, they did this at the WWE production studios in Stamford, next to where the towers are. And Vince McMahon was even in audience there at the studio when they were doing this. He was a big portion of the show is when Chris and Stephanie were talking about what it was like to work with their dad, and Vince was in the room and had a presence, not on camera, but Chris and Stephanie were reacting to the way Vince was reacting to them talking about him, and they talked about him to the point where Vince actually got embarrassed and actually walked out of the room and left the room to leave them alone and be able to talk. You could tell that he just, totally just, oh, God damn it, I'm out of here. But honestly, I thought it was a good chat with Stephanie. It wasn't one of the best ones. Honestly, out of the ones with Triple H, Cena, Vince McMahon, and Stephanie, I would have to put Stephanie in the number 4 slot, but that doesn't mean it's a horrible show. Like I said, when I was hyping this up today to make sure people remember to watch, that this was going to be a different kind of interview. Stephanie wears so many hats. She is a character that's on the show, but she doesn't have a whole lot of road stories. Like she said near the end of near the end of the episode, is that a lot of her job is back at home in Stamford. She'll be at the pay-per-views, she'll be at Monday Night Raw, but then she flies home. And, she interacts with her kids and has a life at home, and she works around the office. But she doesn't do what Triple H does, where, he worked on the road for years, or, Vince worked, every day with Stone Cold Steve Austin and had tons of stories. And, it's not like Jericho and Cena, where they were on the road and actually had matches against each other and had stories about drinking in hotel rooms and closing down bars and things like that. So this was going to be a different kind of episode, but it was very good. They talked about the hard-hitting questions right off the bat, with Jericho asking Stephanie about the WWE employee party. Jericho said that he's worked with the company for 14 years and didn't even know they had one, and said that it was hard for him to believe Vince McMahon is going to be carrying around, trays of hors d'oeuvres. And Stephanie said that it's nothing like that. It's mostly celebrating the people that have worked in WWE, that you don't know their names. They're not on-screen performers, but they're producers of TV shows, guys who hold cameras, guys who put together the promos that we watch, guys that write on the internet. And it's a lot of them handing out awards for, how long people have been with the company. They talked about the guy who was producing tonight's show. He had been with the company and was celebrating 20 years with WWE. A lot of the backstage people that work at WWE, Stephanie said that I believe they employ 800 employees there in the company, and a lot of them, I've always heard, once they get the job with the company, they're in almost for life. From there, Chris wanted to know what it was like growing up. Stephanie McMahon, was it, mandemonium? When you think about how many stories that Vince McMahon has, with him and his team, basically booking WWF, booking the territory at his house, whether if it was out around the pool, or whether if it was, in the living room or in one of the dining rooms, sitting around the table with his team, seeing what wrestlers they wanted to bring in, who they were going to pair up for feuds. So many stories that I've heard from wrestlers is that, when you were coming in and Vince wanted to interview you or make you an offer to work for his company, he would do it at his house. I don't know if that was to have like home field advantage or just he was trying to just fit people into his schedule. But for Stephanie, what was it like? Chris Jericho talked about a story that's in Bret Hart's book about Bret Hart always just having madness going on at the household, whether if it was, Andre the Giant staying there, or a bear staying down in the basement, or, there was always just weirdness. And Stephanie said that the house, for the most, was kept like a normal house. There was wrestlers dropping in and out, but she couldn't think of any, just total madness stories of things going on. Stephanie McMahon, since she's been with the company, is she's grown to the big time position. I forgot the name that they actually said the position was, but it was like the head of. I know that she's the head of like creative, like all the scripts go through her, but it was actually just a title about. Oh, it's racking my brain about what it is, but. This was a very, very fun interview. I think my favorite part that went down with tonight's episode was basically them talking about Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and the real relationship that they had. She said that it was actually Vince McMahon that actually felt like he paired them together. Like he booked them together to be together in real life. He would have conversations with her saying just, you need a guy in your life a lot like Triple H. And Shane would stand up and he would say, not Triple H though, but yeah, like a guy like Triple H, a guy who makes the same kind of decisions, a guy who has his head on his shoulders and he's moving the right way in his life. And one thing led to another, and he talked about how the struggles that Triple H went through as their relationship became real, thinking of, that this is worth it because, that they have a real relationship and they are moving forward. But, one false move by him or by her, and Triple H, who was a big star in the company at the time, would flush his whole life away. Vince McMahon is a real family guy. He does, stand by his wrestlers and everything like that. But when it comes to picking family or wrestlers, I think a lot of people thought that Triple H was treading on thin water. Stephanie actually told stories about agents actually coming up to Vince and asking what Triple H's motives were. I guess people not really believing the relationship, or maybe thinking that Triple H was actually doing this in order to further himself inside of the company. And this sort of segued into a big portion of the show as well that I was really intrigued with, was talking about Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon left the company years ago. Jericho actually said that even before he came to the company in '97, he had heard rumors that it was going to be Stephanie McMahon that was going to be leading the WWE in the next generation. It wasn't going to be Shane, which surprised Jericho, and I think surprised a lot of people. Shane being the older brother, with him being the I guess you can just say the man of the McMahons, Vince's first son. You think he would be the one to take over the company, but Shane actually left the company to basically get his feet on the ground and start something for his own. And I hear that he is involved with trying to get pay-per-view going in China. China doesn't really have a big pay-per-view business or a big pay-per-view company, and Shane is trying to get pay-per-view sports in China up off the ground. Stephanie says that she wishes that she got to see Shane on a personal note, but then when Jericho said that maybe we'll see Shane come back someday, Stephanie gave a short answer of just saying maybe, but it was in this tone of just like, hey, fuck off, he ain't coming back. It sort of stuck a dagger into my heart a little bit, even though that she said maybe he would. I think a lot of people would love to see Shane come back. Shane gave everything that he could to the company. He wasn't the best wrestler, but he was the guy that when he, got in the ring, he gave everything that it took in order to deliver a big match. You can think of him and Blackman at SummerSlam, when Blackman was whipping his ass, and the only thing he could think to get away from Blackman was climb up the Titantron. Blackman followed him and started hitting him with the kendo stick, to the part where Shane took a dive off the top of the Titan Tower. Not Titan Towers, I apologize, but the Titantron. I don't know how high it was up there. I think the Jim Ross said it was 80 feet, but I don't know, at least 20, 30 feet in the air. I mean, it was way higher than a basketball hoop at 10 feet. So, I know there was a crash pad down there, but that still takes a good load of balls. However, they did that prop of Kane setting up the car battery and shocking, Shane's nuts. Shane wrestling against Big Show, and Big Show just honestly just manhandled him. The match that Shane had with XPac at WrestleMania, the match that XPac talks about in the shoot interview is that, when he went out there, X-Pac, who was a little bit scared that he had this high-profile match with Shane, is that if he had a stinker of a match, it was going to come down on him, even though Shane wasn't a trained wrestler. So X-Pac took some balls, and he just walked up to Shane, and he says, hey, when I hit you, I'm going to hit you for real. And, when you hit me for real. That way we don't miss any punches, and we don't, throw up a stinker of a match tonight. When I hit you, I'm going to hit you for real, and I want you to give everything you can and give it to me back. And they went out there and they hit each other with leather straps and gave punches. This right here makes me want to go back and watch that fight right now. But I got to watch the WrestleMania 24. I want to watch Mayweather versus Big Show tonight to get myself hyped up for that special that's going to be down tomorrow, which they showed a commercial for at the end of the show, and I think it's just going to be, I want to say, a remix of the WrestleMania recall show that they did last year about the match. It looks like they're just, changing the graphics behind the green screen of the guys, and they're going to be telling the same stories, and they're probably going to be the same interviews of, everybody that was involved, whether if it was Big Show, Triple H, Vince, and Mayweather. But yeah, it'll still be fun, and I'm really hyped up for Mayweather versus Pacquiao on Saturday. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. But tonight's episode, really, really good. Highlighted the stuff was talking about the relationship of Triple H and Stephanie at home. Chris talked about his favorite moments of showing up and getting to call out Stephanie McMahon for having the breast implants done on Monday Night Raw in Chicago. And then part of this segment was where The Rock came out to cut down on Stephanie as well. And, The Rock was supposed to get to the point where he said the F word, and Stephanie was going to cut him off. But before Stephanie could cut him off, The Rock said it, and it went out on live television. And they said that when The Rock went through the curtain with Jericho, it was the most mad Jericho had ever seen Vince McMahon in his life. Is that the Rock actually said the word, and he didn't. He said that Stephanie didn't follow through and cut him off, and it was her job to do it. And Vince is saying that he shouldn't have said it, and this, that, or the other. But talking about WrestleMania 31 gives you goosebumps. Jericho brought up the fact that Dana White has said that there's not going to be a match for Ronda Rousey. She was one and done for WrestleMania 31, but everybody can still hold on to that. Stephanie said that the match against Brie at SummerSlam this last year was one of the best matches of her life. It's her favorite. It was 11 years after she left being an on-screen character, and for her to work so hard in order to get into the ring and deliver a match that people actually cared about. She liked the fact that for 2 weeks in a row, they got to main event and close out Monday Night Raw. And when SummerSlam was coming up, it was one of the most anticipated matches of the whole time. I had said that was one of the reasons I was really glad that I was going to SummerSlam, was to see that match. And it ended up being that the Bellas turned on each other and led to that horrible Bella feud last year, which ended up being a whole Total Divas fiasco. But this is fun. This was a really good episode. I hope you guys go out of your way to watch this, because like I said, it was the least of my favorite of the podcasts, but it was still better than almost anything on the WWE Network, and it makes you one of the reasons why I'm glad that I'm subscribed. And I hope you guys are subscribed. I know that they said that next month is going to be free once again on the WWE Network for non-subscribers, which, like I pointed out 1,000 times, is who out there has not signed up for the WWE Network. And I know there's people out there that have enough time that want to save the $10. They'll discontinue their account, and they will sign up for a new Hotmail email, and then sign up for a new WWE Network account with a new email address, and they'll be able to get it for free. And it's $10, and you save $10. But at the end of the day, I'm just glad that I've been there since day one. I've never gone a month where I felt like I didn't get my money's worth. Even like last month when I was at WrestleMania, I didn't get to watch the WrestleMania pay-per-view. But even that month, being able to go back in the archives, watch WrestleMania 6, watch WrestleMania 7. Actually, I think I watched 7 and 8, but yeah, whatever. It was worth it for me to pay the $10 to be able to have that stuff sort of thing. at a click of a button. Just press the button, and there it is. Or just to see the thing with Sting at the end of Monday Night Raw. That was 10 stars right there. So, peace out, guys. I'll see you guys down the road. Jericho and Stephanie was awesome tonight.